Why, hello there, YouTube, and welcome to a Who Review Thoughts, the first Who Review Thoughts since Christmas, and also the new season is finally here with Gatwa and Millie Gibson as the Doctor and Ruby Sunday. So yeah, it's back. It's finally back. It's been so long, it's felt like so long since we had a proper series of the show, and it is, because it's nearly 2 years since the Flux series. So I said to myself at one point I could go years without a series and not feel lost. But you know what? I have actually felt lost. I mean, yeah, we had the 2022 specials and the 2023 60th anniversary specials in 2022 and 2023, but now we have a proper full series. It's like season one. They've gone, due to the Disney deal and what have you, they've relabeled it as season one, so rebooted it again. But hey, for us, modern Who fans that have grown up watching it since it came back in 2005, it's series 14. Or for those who refer to the classic era, it's season 40. Either way, it's the 40th season of Doctor Who. But like I say, it's relaunched and stuff. So it drops on midnight in the UK on BBC iPlayer and in Ireland, and it's dropped worldwide on Disney Plus internationally. So yeah, I think I've said all I needed to say now about how hyped I am for it. So let's get into our two episodes that have premiered. Yes, a double premiere. So Space Babies and the Devil's Chord. So before we go any further, I am gonna warn you now. There will be spoilers. So your spoiler warning is in effect. So you're not seeing these episodes, turn away now. So here we go with Space Babies first. So let's get into it. So Space Babies. So taking off not long after the end of the church on Ruby Road, the Doctor takes Ruby to the prehistoric past, where she steps on a butterfly and goes all lizard-like, before the Doctor quickly corrects it, and then they're in the far future on a space station where there's this monster called the Bogeyman, and they obviously find talking babies that are space babies, which were abandoned by colonists. And then there's the nanny, who is played by her who plays Queen Charlotte in Bridgerton. So anyway, they try and work out what this monster is. The Doctor is wondering why is he scared by it, and he basically discovers that the Bogeyman is literally that, made of bogies from the babies blowing their noses. And yeah, giving them something, stories to tell them or what have you. It manifests into that, the Bogeyman. And of course the Doctor works that out and manages to stop the nanny from sucking it out into space, and basically saves the day on the spaceship and uses 6 years worth of dirty nappies to fuel the space station to a nearby planet where they can live. So what did I like, what did I not like? Well, talking babies, I thought, okay, this is like, look who's talking. They had CGI babies' mouths moving, doing the talking for them. I thought it was a bit bonkers. I thought the whole babies thing was nuts, but yeah, what the hell. I guess, they're having fun with this one. The creature, the Bogeyman, kind of reminded me of something out of Alien, like the Xenomorph. And that looked a bit well, a bit tacky, but eh, you know, sometimes it just reminded me of the simpler times of when Doctor Who had poor effects, but it's definitely not the worst looking monster on the show. I thought the guest actress they had in there, the Bridgerton woman, was an alright character, but she didn't appear till like halfway into the episode. The babies, well, the actors they had, which I imagine are real babies with CGI'd mouths and voiced by children, I thought was just crazy. I do feel this episode did sort of drag in the last like 5 minutes, but this was just the first episode of the new season, so I thought it was fairly decent enough. A lot of CGI, a lot of spaceship scenery and stuff. But yeah, the first proper go around, as a series, not as a special. I thought Gatwa was great as the Doctor, and Millie Gibson great as Ruby for their, taking Ruby out for her first trip in the TARDIS. And also the Doctor explains things to her, saying that he's a Time Lord and he's the last one, etc. And that, and even explains to Ruby the whole TARDIS translation thing, kind of taking me back to when the Doctor explained it to Rose way back in 2005. But yeah, I thought this was an okay opener, but not the best. So ratings, performances, I'll give them an 8. The writing, a 7. The visuals, an 8. And my personal, I'll probably give this a 7. So yeah, so that's my Who review thoughts on Space Babies. Now to the second episode of this double premiere, The Devils Chord, and I have quite a bit to say about that, so let's go to it. So, The Devil's Chord. So, we see in the 1920s, the Maestro gets awakened, and then the Doctor takes Ruby to 1963 to watch a session recording of the Beatles and an Abbey Road studios, and they notice things are a bit off, like the music isn't there. And of course, it's all down to the Maestro, who's taking all the music and using it as a power source. And the Doctor shows Ruby the future of what would happen if there is no music, and it's not good. And of course, the Maestro, that's an interesting foe. Again, we actually find out that the Maestro is a relation to the Toymaker. Turns out it's the Toymaker's daughter, and the Toymaker is like the embodiment of like games. The Maestro is the embodiment of music. So we get, music, and of course the Doctor challenges the Maestro to a music off, where they gotta play these certain notes to imprison the Maestro away. And of course they fail in doing that and get trapped in instruments until John Lennon and Paul McCartney play the right notes and trap her. And then of course the Doctor breaks the fourth wall, and they have a big musical finale with the song There's Always a Twist at the End. It's probably going to be available to download or something, I don't know, pretty much like the Goblin song from the Church on Ruby Road. So yeah, so what did I like about this one? Well, I thought Gatwa and Millie Gibson were brilliant as the Doctor and Ruby, blending into the surroundings, and for once in a long time the TARDIS actually blended in with its surroundings as they went back to 1963. Also, we see the Doctor mention that he, as the first Doctor, was in London at that time and was, mentions all 76 Totters Lane and stuff, and mentions Susan, a kind of huge reference and nod to where it all began, letting us know that this is still the the same show that it's always been since it started in 1963, and I loved that. I really, really loved that mention of the First Doctor and Susan. I also thought the Maestro was an interesting villain, and was clearly a drag queen, played by a drag queen actor, I believe, actress. I'm not sure, but yeah, I got like musical Ursula Devine vibes from her, and the whole dragness. But one thing the Toymaker did mention in the giggle, his legions is coming, and the Maestro's one of them. Well, legions. But also we see the kid at the end that we saw at the beginning. So what's that all about? Oh, not to mention we saw Susan. What's her name now? Her name slipped my mind. But she appeared as Isaac Newton's maid in Wild Blue Yonder, and again in the Church on Ruby Road as another person, and she appeared briefly as a crew member in Space Babies when the crew was doing their messages, and I think she appeared again as a a tea lady. So yeah, I'm keeping my eye out for her. I really am keeping my eye out for that Susan. Is it Susan Twist? Or something. I really, her last name literally slipped my mind and I can't remember it now for the life of me. I liked that we got to, see the Beatles and Cilla Black. Of course, the four actors they had as the Beatles looked nothing like them. Didn't really focus much on Ringo Starr or George Harrison. The Doctor did have a talk with Paul McCartney, and Ruby had a talk with John Lennon. And also, I think the whole fourth wall break the Doctor did at the end and the whole musical finale, there's always a twist at the end, I feel that was probably from the Maestro's essence and domain still being around at that time. Pretty much like, in the giggle when the Toymaker's essence was still around enough for the 15th Doctor to make a copy of the TARDIS. Yeah. So, and then they sort of play piano on the zebra crossing on Abbey Road. A lot of that was so corny and cringy and cheesy, but you know what? This is a new era for the show. I'm along for the ride. Doctor Who always goes with the times. Also, it's now available from midnight on BBC iPlayer in the UK and Ireland, and internationally drops at the same time around the world on Disney Plus. So I don't know where you are in the world if you've watched it or anything, but for me, I've watched both episodes from midnight and it's coming on 2 in the morning, so I really need to go to bed now. So yeah, I think I've said all I needed to say. This one I feel was a better improvement than the previous episode. So yeah, next week it'll just be one episode, so I probably won't be up as late. Anyway, ratings. I'll give the performances a 9, the writing an 8, visuals a 8, and my personal, I'll give it an 8. This is going to be a weekly thing, we're 2 episodes down, we've got 6 more to go. So Russell T Davies back on the game as showrunner, writing the premiere, and that next week it's Boom, written by a former showrunner, Stephen Moffat, so that'll be interesting to see what's going to be happening in that. We know that the Doctor's standing on a mine, so yeah, I'll have to wait and see. So yeah, that's pretty much it for my Who review thoughts, my double Who review thoughts. I'll clearly review these episodes, season 1, when the dust has settled and it's been out long enough. So yeah, have you seen it? What are your thoughts? let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up and to share with your friends, and feel free to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and to hit that notification bell. So yeah, I've been Davros the Whovian, and this has been my Who review thoughts on the double premiere, Space Babies and the Devil's Chord. So until next time, run for your life.